It's She Mama story time. So, 10 years ago today, I was being hauled into court because I had blocked trucks on the Monday before. So now we're on the Thursday. Remembrance Day, it's the Wednesday. So I'm now being hauled into court. I have to be in a very familiar courtroom that I've been in many times before, up on the second floor in the courthouse at 10 a.m. So I arrive and I'm not sure, I have um, nothing to say really because I don't have a lawyer and I'm not sure how to react. And I'm a little scared because, yeah, I mean, you've got courtrooms and bailiffs, and I've got these really bad guys that really want to take me down. So I step off the elevator into the lobby of the second floor, and there was my community. They showed up. Sally had arranged to have all these people there to cheer me on. The gallery was full as we went in. So I hugged everybody and was so grateful that there was people there to witness what was going on. So I go in and I go through the gallery and through to the towards the bench, and I sit down in my little chair at my desk, and I'm spinning around in my chair and I'm just making fun of the whole system because I really don't believe in any of the man's court systems. I do moral law, not man's law. So I'm spinning around in my chair and just making a joke of the whole system. And Sally's like, show some respect. And I just turned around and said, nah, respect is earned. They don't have it. And so I'm sitting there being, me and making fun of everything. And then Weasel Boy walks in. So, of course, I yell, hey, Weasel Boy! And he just cringes. This is their bad guy lawyer. So he sits down beside me and he goes, Sheila. And I go, Weasel Boy. And he goes, Sheila. And I go, Weasel Boy. And he goes, I really don't want you calling me that anymore. And I think we're better than that, than calling names. And I said, well, Weasel Boy, I call you that because I have to give you all nicknames so that you can't sue me for slander or defamation of character. So you are forever going to be Weasel Boy to me. And he says, Sheila. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feeling? And I'm just sitting there with this smug ass little smile on my face while he begs me to not call him Weasel Boy anymore. So I promised him I wouldn't call him Weasel Boy, and that every time I posted on Facebook, I would say he is John L. Alexander of Cox Taylor. I don't know how well that was going to go for him. So the judge comes in, we all have to rise, and blah, blah, blah. And then John Alexander is given the floor because he's the one taking me to court. So he droned on for 2.5 hours. It was awesome. He was trying to blame me for spray painting on their dump trucks years before I ever did anything. And I never would vandalize. That's not my thing. I don't vandalize, I just get in the way. So he's trying to say that I'm spray painting on trucks and that I vandalized this and I vandalized that and I'm threatening people and I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there just letting him drone on and show my little scrapbook picture book of my affidavits that everybody signed against me. And oh, they were so scared on that first date because there was somebody with a rifle. No, that was my one-legged friend Jay, and that was his crutch. They really were just grasping at anything to try and make me be evil and scary and dangerous. I'm not. And they knew it. So, anyways, they drone on for 2.5 hours. And then we come back from lunch. And I'm sitting there, and the judge is like, and Ms. Bell-Irving. And I just sat and I stood up and I said, well, my lord, I'm not a lawyer, but my grandfather and my father were, so I guess it's in my blood. But I don't follow man's law. I follow moral law. And morally, I had to stand in front of those trucks and block them so I could tell my future grandchildren that I did everything in my power to stop the toxic soil from being dumped in Shawnigan Lake. So, my lord, I realized that I had done wrong when I was told that I would be arrested. So I gave Corporal Pask my word that I would not block trucks anymore. And unlike my friends over here, I'm true to my word. And I was not going to block trucks anymore. So this is just a waste of your time, my time, and the court's time. So I respectfully ask for a extension so I can be prepared because I was dropped the injunction on Tuesday, and Wednesday was Remembrance Day. And unlike my friend's office here, who supposedly was open waiting for my rebuttal, all other lawyers' offices were closed so they could honor the men and women that died for our freedom and our democracy, which I do believe still exists in Canada. So, my lord, I'm respectfully asking for an extension. So he goes, well, why didn't you say this at the beginning? And I said, well, my lord, I'm not a lawyer, like I said. And I said, it was kind of fun to listen to Weasel Boy, droll on for 2.5 hours. So he basically kind of laughed and said, you've got 3 weeks. So he gave me a 3-week extension. And I remember turning around and looking at Mike Kelly because he was sitting in there amongst all of the people there to support me. Mike Kelly always showed up, always played on his phone, always act so cocky. And I looked at him and he just looked brokenhearted. It was just like they wanted me in jail. And I was just like, no, not going to happen. So it ended up that as we left, they were trying to move us down the road because we were getting in the way right at the gate. And I basically said, no, you can't have that because it's not safe down there. I've got people in wheelchairs and crutches. And then they tried to say I couldn't occupy within a couple of, I think it was a kilometer or something of Stebbings Road. Well, that encased Shawnigan Lake Road. So I said to the judge, I said, well, my lord, in order to head down to Victoria, I have to go along that Shawnigan Lake Road, and it's within that perimeter of Stebbings. So do I have to drive all the way to Mill Bay and then go down that way to get to Victoria? And he said, no, that would be wrong. So no, it's just that we're not going to allow that. And I'm like, okay, thank you. So basically I turned to Weasel Boy and just was like, yeah. So instead of saying occupying the road, it was I cannot block, impede, or stop trucks. Well, I'd already promised to the Sergeant Pask that I wouldn't do that. So it was kind of a waste of our time. But the beautiful thing is while I was in court and most people were there supporting me, there was 2 ladies up at Shawnigan, the Stebbings pit, and they were blocking trucks. So it just, the judge said, Ms. Bell-Irving, you must stop your community from blocking trucks. And I said, no, I'm only in control of myself, my lord. I cannot control my community. If they feel they need to put their bodies in the way, that's what they are going to do because they're in control of themselves. And I'm not in control of them. So sorry, my lord, I can't do that. And he basically agreed and then said, I'll see you in 3 weeks. So we left. But it was an absolute waste of time. And it didn't achieve anything, honestly, except to make me feel threatened. Ooh, piece of paper dropped at my feet. Oh, my God, what am I going to do? I didn't do that. They didn't like that. So I just continued doing what I was doing. And on Friday, 10 years ago tomorrow, oh, I've got a great story time for you on that one. Tune in tomorrow. Thanks for story time.